Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your girl, Brain Shanae. And of course, as you can see, I'm doing the mid-year book Freakout tag. And I am amazed and a little bit freaking out of how the year, like, we have like 6 months left. And I know I'm doing this like a little bit, late. I know I was supposed to do this in June or whatever, but I didn't have the time. So I'm doing it now. And I looking at like all the books I still have on my TBR that I want to tackle this year. And I'm like, is it possible? Is it doable? And like I said, I'm literally freaking out. So let's go ahead and get started with the prompts. So for the first one, it says, best book I've read so far in 2023. And my members and I and Bree from Bree Free Reads are reading this book, or we've read this book already, which we'll be having our live discussion soon. And that is The Battle Drum by Sarah Arifi. Hopefully I'm saying her name correctly. If not, I do apologize. And I loved this book. It made me cry on the last 4 chapters of this book, literally, and a lot of shit happened, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, my mind was blown. And Elise's and Jira, if y'all are watching this, y'all are the ones that recommended me sharing my live reaction to the last 4 chapters of this book, and y'all were not playing with me, and y'all were dead serious that it was going to like mess with me, and y'all were right, because now I want the 3rd book like now. But this book is so good. If you haven't read the first book, which is The Final Strife, definitely I highly recommend it. It's really good. And of course, this is just spectacular. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and it was just, the writing is brilliant. It is beautiful. The pacing is just on point. Like, I can't say anything bad about it because it's that good. But yeah, this is the best book I've read so far in 2023. And then the best sequel I've read so far in 2023 is The Battle Drum because it's so freaking good. I kid you not, like, I tabbed it up and everything because so much stuff was happening and some stuff pissed me off. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, no. And I'm like, what? Like, it had me going in so many different types of emotions. Like, it was an emotional roller coaster for me for literally the last maybe 20% of this book. And I fell in love with it and enjoyed it. So here we have that. The next prompt, it says, new release you haven't read yet but want to. So this book has came out a little earlier this year, or like December of last year, and I haven't gotten to it yet, but I do want to read it. And that is Bloodmarked. This is book 2 in the Legendborn cycle, by Tracy Deonn, and I really want to read this. I've heard some mixed feelings about it. I know people didn't even like Legendborn, so they didn't even read this book. But I want to get into it. I loved Legendborn. I enjoyed it for what it was. I felt like I had a connection with the main character as far as when she went to school and stuff and her experiences. So that's why I enjoyed it. I know some people had other aspects of it, and I get it, but I had a connection, and that's what made me fall in love with Legendborn. And I'm really excited to look forward to reading this, which I hopefully am going to get to before the end of the year. So here is that. And then the next prompt, the 4th prompt, is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And sorry about the music, if y'all can hear that in the background. And I'm going to go with, she announced her book a couple weeks ago, and I'm excited to read it. And I'm going to go with Worthy by Jada Pinkett Smith. I read Will's book, Will, and I enjoyed every single moment of it. I hybrid read it, so I was listening to the audio and reading the book at the same time. And I feel like I understood Will. And then when the slap came, I like with Chris Rock, it made sense, especially if you read his book. It made sense of so much stuff that's going on with him in his head, emotionally and physically. So I completely understood it. And so when I read Will's book, I'm like, okay, Jada is a piece of work, and I'm not sure if I like her. And then after the slap, it made me like want to push her back away from her. But then again, I also want to get her side of the story, because there's always 2 sides to a story. So I'm like, okay, I want to hear her out. So when she announced her book, I was like, all right, let's go. Let's see what she's bringing to her to the table, since Red Table Talk, whatever is gone. It was canceled or whatever. So it's like, all right, she's been quiet for a while. She didn't back up Will or nothing, stand by his side or whatever. So I'm like, all right, I want to hear her out. I want to give her this moment, this smidge little moment of what she has to say in her book. So I'm going to go with Worthy by Jada Pinkett Smith as my anticipated release for the second half of the year, which I believe her book is coming out, I think October or November. I'm not sure. It's one of those months. So there's that. And then prompt number 5, the biggest disappointment. I'm gonna go with, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna go with Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Now I gave it a 3-star. Originally it was a 2.5, then I rounded it up to a 3-star. Like, I enjoyed the book, but it just wasn't hitting for me in particular. But I still love R.F. Kuang. I'm still gonna read her work. I mostly am a fantasy reader, so I think that was just me, my own brain not getting into it because it wasn't fantasy. It's fiction. But I still enjoyed it, but it just wasn't for me, and that's why it was just the biggest disappointment. But I know a lot of people that read it and that loved it. I was like, about it, but I still gave it a 3-star because I appreciated the story and the premise and what it represented. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, this was my biggest disappointment so far. The 6th prompt is the biggest surprise, which I had no idea about this book until there was a rave about it, and that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. And I enjoyed this book wholeheartedly. I devoured it because I loved it. I like I said, I am a fantasy reader, and when people were talking about this book or whatever, I'm like, I gotta read it. I gotta see for myself. I know some people just completely hated it, and I'm like, okay, I can't let that deter me from reading it. I want to form my own opinion. So that's what I did, and I absolutely enjoyed it, and it surprised the hell out of me. So I'm really looking forward to reading the next book, which is called Iron Flame, and I'm excited. But yeah, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros was definitely a big surprise for me. So there's that. The next book, the 7th prompt is favorite new author, debut or new to you. And this is not her debut. She's new to me. And I read this book with my members on my channel and I loved it. So I plan on reading more by her. And that is Vinco by Sherry Demeline. She is not new. She's definitely published way more books, a lot of books. And this is my first book that I've read by her. And I fell in love with this, and I'm looking forward to reading more by her. I had no clue about her, and I know people are like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. And she is an Indigenous author as well, which that's another reason why I just want to keep reading her work, because she's just an amazing writer. And like I said, I support BIPOC authors wholeheartedly, and I will still keep doing that on my channel. But I just fell in love with the writing, the storytelling, it was just very cohesive. There was no moments where I felt like this is really dull, this is boring. It was nothing like that, and I absolutely enjoyed it. So I do plan on reading more by Sherry Demeline. So here's that. The 8th prompt is newest fictional crush, which I do not have a fictional crush. Surprisingly, I usually do, but for now I do not. So hopefully maybe towards the end of the year, I might have an answer for that one. But for the 9th prompt, the newest favorite character, I'm going to go with Amina al-Sarafi from The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi, excuse me. And this is by Shannon Chakraborty, and I loved this book. It had me on a wonderful adventure, especially with her marrying a demon and whatnot, and the demon didn't know that she had his daughter, like she had his daughter. So I'm excited for what the second book will bring. Like I said, this was just spectacular. And so yeah, she is like one of my newest favorite characters. She's a badass. She's strong. She has powers now. So if y'all haven't read this book, I highly recommend it. It's really good. But yeah, she's definitely my favorite character for sure. She's definitely added on to that list. So there you have that. The next prompt, it says book that made me cry, and I did a book review with this book in particular, which I'll leave that up above whenever you get a chance to watch it, and that is I Am Aya the Way Home by Donna Hill. I did a vlog for this actually, and it made me cry. It talked, you know, it brings a lot about ancestors and family and the time that you may know you may not have left to spend with your family. This particular is about a girl named, you know, Aya, and she returns home to her father who's, you know, sick, and he fell, and he ends up, you know, dying. But it seemed like destiny brought her there, not only just for her father, but to embrace her ancestors and doing more research about her background and her family and stuff, which I found so refreshing. And it made me want to know more about my ancestors and my family history. And I just felt like this was a book that I feel like everyone should read. Everyone should take the time to really sink into these words and like realize how important family is, and how, or even learning your family history, some things that may be happening in your life, it may make sense because of what happened in the past. So, you know, especially when, you know, there's a lot of family secrets, and I feel like those secrets need to be brought out of the darkness and into the light. So I really love this book, and Donna Hill is just a great writer, so I enjoyed it wholeheartedly. The next book that that made me happy, which is a manga that made me happy. I mean, it was a lot of like hard stuff that really made me mad about what happened with the main character, but with the other character, her soon-to-be husband, he showed a whole new like side to him that I really enjoyed, and it just made her, the main character, realize how much he truly wants to be with her and marry her, and that is My Happy Marriage, and this is volume 3. So it is a manga, and I love this. I'm really looking forward to the 4th volume. This is really good. I know, like, I just got into manga last year, and I'm glad that I did, thanks to Ashley from the Bookish Realm and Bree from the Lockbooktician. I just appreciate y'all for having me open my mind and open me up into new revenues of different reading and mangas and whatnot. So I do appreciate y'all. And yeah, this was just really, really good. And it made me happy on the actions that he did to save her and showing her how much he cares about her. So yeah, love this. It definitely made me happy. Next one is the 12th prompt is, let's see, most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I got this book from Fairy Loot, or these two. One is from Fairy Loot and the other one I just got. So this one is Shanghai Immortal. This is the Fairy Loot edition, and it's just beautiful. There's clouds and stuff, stenciled clouds, and I just thought this was just very beautiful. As you can see, the water, it looks like it's moving. So like, this is, I have a lot of beautiful books, but it's like recently this is beautiful, and I was like, oh, I gotta share it. So here's that one. And then the next beautiful book is by Mark Lawrence. It says The Book That Wouldn't Burn. And I just love this cover. Like, look at it. Like, I would just look at the room filled with books, like shelves and shelves and levels of books, and I just love this cover so much. It is beautiful. I could go all day with this prompt, but I'm not going to do that. That's why I just picked these 2 books right here. But so these are one of the most beautiful books that I bought so far this year, even though there's a lot more, but I'm just going to stick with these 2, and I'm looking forward to reading them. And last but not least, we have the 13th prompt, which is what book do you need to read by the end of the year? And of course, Bloodmarked is one of them, like I said, by Tracy Dion. I'm also looking forward to reading The Judas Blossom by Stephen Aryan, which I will be reading really soon, and I look forward to doing a book review for this particular book. It says, well, in the back it says 1260s Persia, so that's where this is where the story is located, which I'm excited for. I haven't read any books located in Persia per se that come to mind, but I'm really looking forward to reading this before the year is over. There's a lot more that I definitely want to read, as far as manga, as far as new releases. I need to read this book right here, which let me get. which by Brandon Sanderson, which this is what I recently got, the Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. I also want to read this before the year is over. I also plan on reading The Sun and the Void before the year is over. So these are all good books that I just want to read before the year is over, or the end of the year, and I look forward to reading them all. There's so many books that's been on my TBR, and I need to figure out what I'm going to do with my life and how I'm going to tackle each and every one of them, if I can and if it's possible. But that is it. That is my mid-year book freak out moment for you. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you all for watching, and I hope you all are staying healthy and staying safe. See ya.